just returned from a trip to Argentina that ranked #1, and that got me to fall in love with travel all over again. With my travel love renewed, I wondered why I value it so much, considering I spend half my trips lost and the other half frantically digging in my purse to confirm my passport still exists. I've been a solo traveler for 12 years, except one trip to Italy with my sister, where we generated enough inside jokes to last a lifetime. Our favorite? A tiny Tuscan restaurant, where she asked for butter with the bread. The waiter froze, not paused, froze, like she just insulted his entire family tree back to the Roman Empire. Then came the performance. No words, but with Oscar-worthy hand gestures, he confiscated her plate, drizzled olive oil like he was blessing the bread, added a dramatic shake of salt, then returned it, with the intensity of a man thinking, "I will fix you, woman." And then he hovered, watching, waiting, daring her to disagree with centuries of culinary authority. Of course it was incredible. The waiter gave a smug nod and floated away. Another tourist redeemed. We learned 2 things in that tiny restaurant. Olive oil and salt is greater than butter, and asking while traveling gets you way more inside info and way better stories than pretending you know what you're doing. And bread and olive oil is still undefeated. I count my trip with my sister as tourism. And look, there's nothing wrong with tourism. It's fun, exciting, basically a social event with a scenic backdrop. But to me, travel is diving headfirst into the unknown, meeting people nothing like you, and collecting moments that make you a slightly better human, like it's an overpriced spiritual awakening, but with existential challenges to who you thought you were. Traveling with other people softens that. Comfort creeps in, familiarity takes over, and suddenly you're 40 minutes into a lunch debate, like it's a hostage negotiation. No one's happy, no one's eaten, and somehow it's just gotten personal. When I'm alone, I just panic order something I can't pronounce and call it cultural growth. Also, by traveling solo, I get to focus on my chaos. People are usually surprised to see a 70-year-old woman traveling solo. They ask if I get lonely. I used to, especially on my first solo trip titled 10 Weeks Walking, when I tried to outwalk the universe after it threw every tragedy it had at me. In 18 months, my father, my mother, my dog dying, and my husband taking his own life. I marched across Europe like a woman starring in her own emotional action film, minus a plot. Then I returned to Canada and fell into a depression so dramatic it deserved its own soundtrack, and possibly a sequel. Turns out, grief doesn't respect borders. It just follows you home like an overcommitted travel companion already unpacked before you are. But enough about that. Back to loneliness and soloing. I remember one night in Lake Bohij, Slovenia, when after weeks of walking alone, I sat on the floor of my Airbnb, head in my hands, letting the silence of aloneness sweep over me. It was a big feeling, the kind that makes you wonder if you should journal, meditate, or immediately partake in the emotional triage of chocolate. Another moment from those 10 weeks of walking that shaped how I travel happened on top of Mount Vogel in the Julian Alps. As the cable car shot above the trees, it revealed a wide grassy slope that was unusual for the dramatic limestone peaks of the area. I made a beeline for an outdoor cafe with that European mountain vibe of being effortlessly scenic, ridiculously overpriced, and smug about it all. Coffee and pastry secured, I sat at a picnic table watching hang gliders run then fling themselves off the mountain like they were late for a meeting with gravity. It was 11 in the morning, and my mission for the day, find this place, was complete. And then it hit me. What do I do now? Instead of spiraling, I looked around me. The valley below was sliced by a wiggling river. The sky was a perfect copy-paste of the water's blue. Everything felt ridiculously beautiful. Then it hit. I don't need to do anything, but simply be where I am at this moment. A shockingly simple revelation that rewired my entire approach to travel happened in that moment. I'd accidentally discovered a hidden setting called existential peace. Oh, it had been there the whole time, just buried under my need to have output, to justify, well, me. The moment felt spiritual. Oh, not dramatic, enlightened on a mountain sort of way. More like a stern lecture from the universe. You don't need to optimize this moment, dumbass. Which was deeply annoying information after a lifetime of trying to do exactly that. Did my Buddhist faith, something I'd been practicing for the past 2 years, suddenly focus its sights on my travel life? In Buddhism, there's a concept of mindfulness, or sati, the practice of meeting each moment as it is, without projecting what it should be. This leads to moments that are less about expectation for that experience and more about direct seeing. Oh, I plan my trips like everyone else. Planning is actually my pre-trip foreplay. But once I arrive, I just show up and let the universe take the wheel. I call it being an empty vessel. No expectations, just full body awareness of whatever vibe decides to roll in. And honestly, it's a lifesaver when in a foreign country, you can't speak the language and you're dyslexic, so that every Google direction is interpreted absolutely wrong. And you've been heading in the opposite direction for 20 minutes. The empty vessel state of mind shows up in my other passions as well. In photography, when the Deborah ego finally steps aside and lets the landscape take over, the images I find are incredible, like the camera knows more than I do. Losing myself in the landscape is a feeling I'll chase forever. The same thing happens when I'm deep in video editing and look up to find hours have vanished into the creative abyss. To me, travel is a spiritual experience. Oh, not the grand-scale nirvana kind of enlightenment, but a gentle reminder of just how privileged I am to travel and how profoundly grateful I am for everything travel pours into my life.